How do I feel about the work I am doing? Good. I like what I do. I love it. It's my passion. Obviously, you can never always be happy, right? Because happiness is something that goes up and down. So there are good moments and there are bad moments, or less good ones. I feel good. Good. Tired? Well, the truth is that it has already been many years doing the work. Because it is a work, this TAYGETAN project, let's call it. Sometimes I do feel like disconnecting for a while. That is, you feel like disappearing. Disconnecting. And people will say yes, but disconnect from what? Well, this work drains a lot of energy. A lot. But there is something inside, something in the unconscious, that tells you that you have to continue. At least in my case, that is, there is something that tells me that I have to continue. Right now I could make videos about other topics, about other things. I don't know. Enjoy life in a different way. I mean, this work is full dedication. People do not see it, nor can they imagine how much. In the mornings I go out to train. I go out to run. Because afterward, what I have to do is be almost all day sitting. Almost all day. That is, all the hours sitting. So I usually go out every morning for approximately 2 hours. Let's see. It is many kilometers. Many kilometers. A minimum of 12 kilometers. Minimum. Little by little. But the important thing is to move. And what I am saying here is very important. Because obviously, if you are sitting all day, this later affects your health. In some way it affects it. That is, to be doing this work, you have to be well. Above all, balanced. So basically, I feel good. Good. But sometimes it is indeed tiring. It is tiring because even if you do not have the intention to fight against anything, but rather to share, in the end, you have to fight with the algorithm. Insofar as, sure, you are doing this full time, and what you would like is for more people to see you. That there are more and more. More. For more people to see you obviously leads to many things. And people will say yes, but that will involve more money. Of course. Yes, of course. Obviously. The more people see you, the more money. Right now, so that people have an idea and see that we are not doing this for money, of course, the videos, the views, have dropped a lot. And that implies much less money. But even so, I continue working on this. Right now, I could make videos about motorhomes. Take my motorhome. Make videos every day. Because I am making videos every day. If not on Despejando Enigmas, then on Revelación Cósmica. If not on Revelación Cósmica, then on my other channel, News Noble. Even if it is just one video per week. And from time to time I release some video on another of my small channels. So this is maximum dedication. A lot of energy. So of course, if you see that the energy you contribute, which obviously nobody forces me to do this is very important, nobody forces me, but there is something inside me that tells me to continue with this. To continue. Even if I have few views. Because living from this, that is, you can no longer live from this. But there is something that tells me, keep going and keep going. And this is my case. In summary, how do I feel? I feel good. Obviously, you cannot always feel good, because there are highs and lows, and those lows, that is less high moments, have come throughout this work. They are always through third parties who get involved in this work, then their expectations fail, or they invent stories. And in the end, Gosia and I always end up paying the price. Like this latest infiltration, where what has been attempted is to divide the community. In fact, the community has been divided. And well, even so, we no longer pay so much attention to that, and we move forward. I have spoken about this because, of course, if you ask me how I feel, then obviously the bad moments are a consequence of those actions of other people. But in summary, I feel good. Good. It is true that there are times when I get tired, when you say, damn, I am here giving a lot of energy and I receive very little in return. Because that is the truth, I receive very little in return. But well, something in my interior tells me to continue. Now, how long will this continue? I have no idea. But inside me there is something. There is something, I could not explain it to you. It must be something in the unconscious that tells me to continue. And in the end, that is what defines you as a person. What you do, that is what defines you. It is very clear to me. And as I said before, I have a motorhome. And I thought that perhaps when I had the motorhome, my way of seeing things would change. But no, I am still here. I am still here. Nobody's forcing me. And it is as if it is something that obviously I have decided to do already from the afterlife. That is, already from outside. And then, upon arriving here, a series of consequences have somehow guided me toward this work. So why continue? Why continue with all this? Well, I believe that, in some way, and seeing how the world is, that many people are being directed, their perception, they are not aware, and less, of the reality in which they live. And some people, we are not the only ones, some people have decided to dedicate themselves to giving information so that those people can react and realize the reality in which they are living. This is very important for them to awaken. Because if not, indisputably they are going to return here. With that, I do not mean that if you do not watch what we are doing, you are going to return here. No. You can look at many things. There are many ways. There are many forms and ways, and one of the ways to get out of here is having the knowledge that the TAYGETANs and SWARUUNIANs shared with us. The truth is that sometimes you do say that you would like to disconnect 100%. 100% from all social media, 100%. But I repeat, there is something that drives me to disseminate all this information. And obviously it is not money, not at all. I believe that at least with the people who are following us, I am not talking about fanatics, because they are not fanatics. Those who follow us are not fanatics. That a nice community has been created. Those of us who have remained. And they are people with a desire to know. Without falling into fanaticism. Very important. And thanks to all those people who support us in whatever way, we can continue forward. Basically, that is it. The sound of the birds, of nature. My goodness. A big hug, and until next time. Thank you.
Hi guys, this is Gosia from Cosmic Agency. Now it's my turn to explain why I feel I want to or should continue. Well, some of you might be asking this question, like why continue if there is no communication? with the taygetans? Well, first of all, okay, this is going to be different perspectives. But first of all, well, why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't we? As many of you probably don't know, but I have had this channel, Cosmic Agency, and in fact before, Cosmic Agency was a metaphysical store in Barcelona, a little boutique, Agencia Cósmica. I have a splinter in my hand, hurts. So I had this channel before the communication with the Taygetans and Svarus began. So when I started, my idea was to, well, share any inspiring information or ideas, insights, also invite other people to the channel. I was interviewing other people as well. But for a very long time before we started this communication, I have always felt that I wanted to do something to help to release the souls from the matrix. I just felt so much compassion for these sparks of light, as I perceived it, being trapped in this illusory system and in the suffering and in the loops. So I felt I want to do something. I want to do something to help with this, to bust those souls out of here, out of the system, out of the limiting ideas and beliefs. So that then manifested itself as a communication with the Taygetan team. But even with the Taygetan team right now mysteriously gone, and we still don't know what has happened to them, well, I continue and my channel still stands. So from this one perspective, why should I not continue if, first of all, I still have a lot of things to share. As I always say, there's so much accumulated, and I think it's going to be years, maybe a few years, I don't know, depends on the speed, before I finish all the material, because I want to share everything that was shared. And second of all, I, as a person, I have never been just like a conduit to their information. Yes, of course, me and Robert, yes, of course, we've been that. But we're also our own individual souls and peoples with our own perspectives and ideas and passions. And this is my channel, Cosmic Agency, and I intend to continue working through it in whatever way that is going to be possible for me to work through it. Like Robert said, it's been very draining. It is very tiring. Not because of them, it's themselves, not because of that, and not because of the communication itself, but, well, first of all, it's very draining because we are spending a lot of time on the computer. That's just computer, constantly. And it's very time consuming to make videos and in all these different languages. It's been also tiring, well, because of all the situations, infiltrations, attacks, negativity. So it's nothing to do with our friendship per se. It's like Yazhi said, it's everything that comes from it. That is inevitable, and no one said it was going to be easy. And why should we not continue just because it's not? Now, another angle to this, do I want to continue? Why do I feel I want to continue? Do I want to? Like Robert said, there is a part of me that wants to disconnect from everything and just wants to forget about the social media and everything that comes from this work, and just perhaps focus on nicer things in life. Like Yazhi said, some Taygetans wanted that, and there's completely nothing wrong with that approach. I also want to and do focus on nicer things in life and stress-free. However, there is this sort of a feeling inside, like with Robert, that just we cannot explain what it is. but it just keeps pushing us forward and doesn't let go. It's a very deep feeling, in my case here, like some sort of allegiance, I would say. So it's definitely coming from the higher realm, some part of me that is committed to this post, to this work in whatever form, to keep being involved with this cause, with whatever it is. Like a very deep-seated dedication that I cannot disconnect. It's, like I said, it's some kind of allegiance, like I have to. But not have to as if it's some kind of a command from someone else. It's self-imposed, I'm sure of that, but it's just something that comes from my own essence as who I am. It's a commitment and allegiance to the highest self inside. And I do disconnect. It wouldn't be possible to continue this work if we didn't disconnect here and there, but I do it just briefly. I do it here and there during a day. I haven't even been on any trip since last September, because something just keeps me at this post. Something just keeps me at this post. It's something unexplainable, and it's very, very, very strong. So I don't know if I want to continue, or do I really have a choice in the matter? I am not really sure. I do. I do feel I do. Yeah, because I could disconnect tomorrow if I wanted to, but I don't know. I don't know if I can, if I want to, or is it because I have to keep doing? I'm not sure. I'm blended. Have you seen the Stargate? Now we are watching Stargate with Matthias, all the episodes, and we reached the episode about Tok'ra, right? How they blend with the host. Some other creature is blending their intentions and their cause and their wisdom and insights. I don't know. That's how it feels in a way. It's not that it's some kind of imposition, and it's not that I feel schizophrenic like that. Like there's two of me. It's just the blend, the fusion is very natural, but there's definitely something blending there, because part of me, like Robert, like we just like want to relax and distress more than relax. Distress, but it's just that's something that is blending with us. That higher part of us is just not letting go, and it's okay. I am totally okay with that. It's blended, which means it's fused with what I want. I cannot tell the difference. I would be very unhappy if it's unblended and I just went to, I don't know, do some fishing, somewhere, selling it at the market. And there is the part of me also that is very stubborn and very strong, I would say, that doesn't bend under pressure. I'm just not going to bend under any sort of pressure here. Whatever forces want us out, the more they want us out for whatever reason, the more stubborn I get to continue. Actually, the best way to have me out is to shower me with support, remove all the obstacles, all the negativity, all the trolls. Perhaps then I will be like, okay, I have achieved, this is good, this is rolling on its own, there is no challenge here, so that's that. But I feel very stubborn. I'm a very stubborn person. If you tell me to stop, or someone, especially from the dark side, wants me to stop, that gives me so much more strength to continue. And whatever happened at the end of 2024, 2025, with this whole infiltration thing or whatever it was, that was the greatest pressure we have felt so far. This was the greatest, the biggest, the most challenging, the most difficult situation that we had to deal with, and we are still dealing with psychologically. But I'm just not going to bend under pressure. I'm just not going to remove myself just because the situation presented itself the way it did. This is what they would want. So, of course, I'm not going to do that. In fact, since we announced the supposed infiltration, I even worked harder, even though maybe it's not seen because I am divided between different channels, Space Academy in 3 channels, but I haven't taken any trip, for example. I haven't even been anywhere for a day or for a 2, for a little trip like I used to. Since the announcement, we didn't take any rest time at all. We did not disconnect to distress from this. No, we just dived more into the work because no, we're not going to let them win, whoever this is. Whatever is happening. I remember when I was around 40 years old, I had this vision. And I don't know if I told you, I think I told you, but you may not remember. It was like a dream, but it was not a dream. It was super realistic, you know how that feels. When I was on a little ship above Earth, I'm gonna tell you very briefly this. I was on a ship above the Earth. It was a small ship. I was in the cockpit with several people, not many, maybe 3, and we were looking down on Earth, and the Earth was just like there. And on the horizon, not very far, we were in the low orbit, and the people on the ship were asking me, "Are you sure you want to go back?" And I looked at Earth, and I was so certain that I wanted to go back. Why? Because I felt this compassion towards the human race and the humanity. I felt I needed to be there, down there, with them, and continue to help in whatever small way I can contribute. I just wanted to be there. I wanted to be there and contribute my presence there. I felt so much love and compassion. It was amazing. I mean, I'm not even sure I feel it now that I think about the humanity. I'm not sure I'm gathering up so much compassion and love, but in that vision, in that dream, in that situation, I felt it. And I said, yes, I do want to go back. And I don't know what it was, because I remember that once they told me they woke me up from the immersion once. That was a situation. I still don't understand exactly how that was. So I don't know if this was that moment or what that was, but I remember that commitment and that feeling. And that feeling is something that I still carry with me and I connect with. And that's why I know I'm in the right place. I know I'm in the right moment and place and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. Another aspect here is that I really, really, really despise the cabal. And doing anything that I can in my power to expose them or to just keep lifting the frequency against all odds and against what they have planned for the humanity, it gives me great pleasure. I just like to disturb them. I like to disturb them. I find great satisfaction knowing that this work could be disturbing them in whatever way. So I remember I watched the movie Eyes Wide Shut a long time ago. That was 20 years ago. And it annoyed me so much. I remember the feeling of so much anger against these power groups and those elites who think themselves so much above everybody else, and they can just use people and control them and maneuver around, and use their power and lie to them and deceive them. I just felt so much anger. I just wanted to come up and slap them in the face, those actors in the movie. I remember that feeling. And that's the feeling that I maybe not so much as in when I was watching that movie. It's kind of dispersed, but I do carry that. So I find great satisfaction in doing whatever I can to disturb the negatives. Also about the information that I still have to share. I have to continue because I still have a lot of things to share. That's just one reason why. As I always say, I have a lot of accumulated, and there is a lot of stuff that still is valid and is very important and very interesting. And I could say, well, I can just not do it, right? But I can't. I can't. I just feel like this information is not for me. It was not for Robert. It was not to enrich me personally and to like have a conversation with the extraterrestrial, and that's that. It's fine if someone feels that way. I'm not judging anybody who hasn't shared their information. But me, I have a different type of a role, a different type of a commitment, and different type of desire within me, and that's to have that information land on Earth. I want this landing on Earth. This must be on Earth. This must be given to the people. It's to enrich the people, not me. So that's why I continue to share whatever I have to share, because it's something I just gotta do. And it's funny, I started the Space Academy because I have been, it's not that I started Space Academy because I have nothing to do. Just the opposite. As I always say, I still have stuff that is accumulated. I wish I could just continue publishing that, but I felt this assignment within me from myself or from whoever it was September 2024, more or less in that time. It was very strange because I felt that call. I even felt the name, Space Academy, Sector Earth. I knew, like it was just inserted into my mind. And I knew this is what I have to do. Like I have to create a side project, a parallel project with the same information, but presented in a different way and avoiding all these different situations that might have tainted the perception. And, because it's tiring to have all these infiltrations and dramas and situations. I understand that completely. I mean, come on. So this is like a cleaner, new project without the stories attached. It's just the information landing for the people. And I have this in 3 languages, which is adding to the tasks, which is kind of overwhelming sometimes. But again, it's something I feel I received from that higher voice or whoever, and I am not intending to withdraw from that. And something Yazhi said in the last video, I don't know if you paid attention to that specific sentence. She says, in the end, if you choose to fight or not fight, well, that was in the times of COVID, so that was like fighting mentality. But to choose that or not choose that, it's whatever meaning it gives to you, and meaning overrides happiness. That's what she said, right? And why happiness? Because on the other hand, it's always said, oh, just be happy, and that raises the frequency. That's in itself is enough. However, meaning overrides happiness. Why? Because happiness is included in the meaning, but it also gives, something more and greater meaning to whatever you are doing, especially when looking back at your life. So my work gives me meaning, and I haven't had that before in my life much, before I opened the channel. And the important point here also is that meaning is not something that is given from other people. The other people cannot give meaning. They can support and offer, of course, their acknowledgement of what you are doing, but the meaning of what you are doing, you have to find it within yourself. You are the one that gives meaning to whatever you are doing. It doesn't come from the outside sources, which means, in other words, even if there was just 3 people watching these videos, if I decide that it has meaning for me, then I will continue doing that. So in that sense, for me, I do not depend on the support, even though I appreciate it very much, of course, on the support. The sun is coming. On the support or any external validation of what I'm doing, if I, in my heart, feel that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And another important point, and this is something I agree with Yazhi on this is what Yazhi said in the last video as well, that meaning of what we are doing also does not depend on the outcome. In other words, I am not doing this for any specific outcome. I am not doing this for any specific way to win, even though I said I despise the cabal and I want to disturb them. Well, that in itself is fulfilling its mission already, but I am not attached to any specific outcome. So I do this because that's who I am. I like to be a system buster. I like to disturb negative plans and, help to return some of the information to the people. It's just my role within this game. The game it is, but that's the role. I chose this game and I'm enjoying playing it, even though it is stressful and it is draining. But how would it not be? How would it not be? Of course, it has to be. I mean, we're not sailing here for pleasure over the Pacific, walking in the sunset. If it was not stressful or draining, that it's, what is it that we are doing then? However, a lot here also depends on your own attitude and how you manage those stressful situations. There is still a lot of emotional control and physical control over how much you allow into your reality. But that's why the important thing for me is just to keep being focused on what I have to do. And that's why I feel like I have to continue. I'm like this horse with the blinders on and just keeps going. And at this point, like Yazhi also said, it doesn't really interest me who it bothers what we do, who it excites, who supports it, who doesn't. I just gotta do what I have to do. And this kind of attitude with the blinders on, in a way, of course I'm not saying I'm immune to the movement of the boat. However, in a way, that focus with the blinders on helps me to keep going with much greater peace and strength, because I am detached both from the support. Of course, I appreciate it, thank you very much, but I'm saying it doesn't build my ego. I don't draw on that. It's not changing me. This is not what I'm doing this for. Some people do this for some kind of egotistical reasons, to fulfill their insecurities, or they want to feel important or whatever. I don't have that. So I'm detached from that external validation for that. And at the same time, I am detached from the negatives and the attacks and all that to the degree. And that's what helps me stay in the center, like the horse with the blinders. And I know some people might say, well, we don't care. I don't care what you have to say anymore. You traitor, or this or that. Well, a lot to say on this subject, but I'm not gonna now go into it. But yeah, I understand some people might feel that. Just for the record, we feel the opposite. We feel very much like we've been messed with here. I'm talking about the infiltration situation. And despite that, we continue. It's not easy to continue at the face of all these. It's not easy to continue when you know within your heart that you want to contribute only what's best and really, really, really help. I'm the same person as I've always been, and knowing that some of these people see you differently after all this. But again, like I said, the meaning of what I'm doing has to be drawn from within myself. I'm doing this to execute what I still feel I have to execute as my role within this game. And I do have to say, to just finish this video, that it's been really, really hard what happened with this latest situation. Just because we keep going, and just because we continue, and just because we will continue, it doesn't mean that it hasn't been hard. It's been the hardest. It's been so tough, emotionally, mentally, psychologically, on all levels that you can imagine. But like I said, I am not going to bend under this situation or under any other that I can think of. So I don't know. This is just the way it is. I'm here. I will be here in whatever form and shape that I am called to contribute. For now, it is a Space Academy, which, by the way, I'm going to see you now in the next episode, which is going to be about the mind. This is going to be very, very powerful video. And actually, the next video after this, I'm going to have to deal with the moon topic. So that's going to be a Space Academy after all. So I'm going to deal with that. And then, of course, a lot of other videos in Cosmic Agency. And whatever presents itself, we are open to whatever presents itself, as long as it's in sync with our own principles, work ethics, personal ethics, honesty, transparency, as much as possible, of course, etc. It has to be on the same frequency match. Okay, I'm trying to think what else I can say. I think this is it pretty much. I could go on, but I think I mentioned the most important points. So I'll see you around. Not going anywhere. They will have to try harder. Bye bye, everybody.